Hello students, hope you all are well and doing self-study at home. Students, yesterday we have completed the chapter 8, Cost and Revenue. Today we will start with the new chapter, lesson number 9, Main Forms of Market. Under this, we will discuss the topics, meaning of market, forms of market structure on the basis of competition, that is perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic competition, oligopoly and monopsony. Next topic is distinction between perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic competition, oligopoly and monopsony. Next is similarities between monopolistic competition and monopoly. Fifth topic is similarities between monopolistic competition and perfect competition. Criteria for the classification of markets and equilibrium of a firm under perfect competition and equilibrium under different time periods. So these are the topics that we will discuss in this chapter. First of all, we will start with the meaning of market. As we have discussed earlier in the previous chapter, cost and revenue, that market is a place where we go for shopping. In the market we can see agents, share brokers, beauty parlors, schools, cloth merchants, grocers, shops, websites, high streets, cobblers, all these things we can see in the market. So markets can be of any type, maybe capital market, financial market, share market, then so market is a place where buyers and sellers meet with each other to exchange the goods or services for money. Whenever a commodity or services is bought and sold, the relationship established between buyers and seller, which is called economic relationship or social relationship. These relationships must obey the rules and regulations imposed by the society, like about the price, whether the commodity it is valid or it is allowed to sold in the market, it is permission by the government that we can sell this commodity in the market or not. Suppose if the seller sells any kind of illegal medicine or drugs to the buyer secretly, breaking social rules, this transaction will not be a market transaction. So market is formed only when the transactions are carried out according to the socially accepted rules. Next one is types of market. Under the types of market, there is a international market where we can find the crude oil and quail eggs. Quail eggs are very healthy eggs. Next one is stock market, sale and purchase of shares, bonds, debentures. Local markets for vegetables, national market for books, branded products, Reed and Taylors and Raymonds. So features of market. Under the features of market, first point is area. Market can be any type like stock market, financial market, international market, capital market, etc. Next one is buyers and sellers. Existence of the buyers and sellers is essential condition. Buyers and sellers can meet physically or contact through the letters or the telephones, or middlemen can be there for the contact of buyers and seller. Commodity. There must be some commodities which is bought and sold. Competition. There must be free competition among the buyers and sellers to set one price for the same commodity that can be benefited to the consumer also. Forms of the market structure on the basis of competition. So first of all, we will discuss perfect competition. Under the perfect competition, we will discuss some points like under the perfect competition, first condition is that product should be homogeneous. Like 24 karat gold is a gold, whether sold by the State Bank of India or MMTC. Here MMTC means Metals and Minerals Trading Corporation of India. Let us consider another example to understand the perfect competition. Like we are going to consider a commodity cauliflower. For this commodity there are many producers in the country, large number of producers, and large number of consumers are also for this commodity. So first condition is large number of buyers and sellers under the perfect competition. Now next one is a particular grade of the cauliflower is produced. It is not possible to identify one piece of cauliflower from the another. As a consumer, you don't know that who is the producer for the piece of cauliflower. A bag of cauliflower is as good as the bag of Ram Singh's cauliflower. When any consumer, suppose Sita goes out to buy cauliflower, she will not ask for Ram Singh's cauliflower or Sham Singh's cauliflower. Simply she will demand for 1 kg or 2 kg or any amount of cauliflower from the shopkeeper. All the pieces of cauliflower are homogeneous. Done. So second condition in the perfect competition, that commodity should be homogeneous. Now next one is Sham Singh and Ram Singh. None of them can influence the market supply of a cauliflower. A bad crop of them cannot influence the total supply of cauliflower in the market, as there are infinite producers for cauliflowers in the country. So in the same way, if any consumer, say Rita, decide that she will not buy cauliflower, it will not affect the total demand for cauliflower in the market. Then everybody, whether producer or consumer, are free to take their own decision under the perfect competition. So perfect competitive market structure is obtained when there are large number of buyers and sellers. Second is large number of firms in an industry producing homogeneous product like 24 karat gold, whether it is sold by State Bank of India or by MMTC, that is Metals and Minerals Trading Corporation of India. Now industry is price maker, as under the industry there are large number of firms, and industry find out the market demand, that what is the market demand, accordingly the industry will set the price. So industry is the price maker and firms are price taker. So each must accept the price set by the forces of demand and supply. The firms can sell as much as quantity of his product at the prevailing price, because buyers and sellers both are free to decide. Producer is free to decide that how much quantity he has to sell in the market at the prevailing price, and consumer also free to decide whether he has to purchase the commodity that is available in the economy or not. Next one is no individual firm has a power to influence the price, as there are large number of firms producing the homogeneous product. So no single firm can influence the price. Next one is if the firm choose higher prices for his product, it will lose the customers, as customers is having a perfect knowledge about the market, about the price of the product, and he will not go to the shopkeeper with the higher prices. So in this way the firm will lose its customers. Next one is if the firm decide to charge lower prices for his product, it will earn losses. So no firm can compete with each other, as product is homogeneous with the price set by the industry. There is free entry and exit of the firms under the perfect competition. Under the perfect competition, there is a free mobility for the factors of production like labor, entrepreneur, and for the goods also. We can sell our goods at any place. It's my decision that I want to sell my goods at a Putlighar market or Cheta market or Holgate market. Wherever I want to sell my commodity, I will decide myself. Goods can be sold at any place. So there is no transport cost, as homogeneous goods are available at any place due to the infinitely large number of producers. Next one is under the perfect competition, firms trends to reduce prices to the least possible, so consumers are benefited. Then only efficient firm will survive. Poor quality producers are forced to quit the market because no one is ready to purchase the inferior commodity. Shape of demand curve under the perfect competition. So first of all, we will go through this table. Q is the quantity or the output produced by the firm. P is the price. TR is the total revenue that we will calculate by multiplying price with quantity. Average revenue, total revenue divided by quantity. Marginal revenue, TRN minus TRN minus 1. This is a formula to calculate marginal revenue. Now first of all, we will see that when the producer has given 1 unit of production, the price was rupees 40. At 2 units of production, again price was rupees 40. At 3 units of production, again price was rupees 40. So at all the levels of production, price remains the same. Now we will calculate total revenue. Price multiplied by quantity. 40 multiplied by 1 will give you 40. 40 multiplied by 2 will give you 80. In the same way we will continue and we will get the total revenue figures. Now next one is average revenue. As you know that average revenue is nothing, it is price, because average revenue is the per unit profit from the sale of the commodity. Now next one is per unit revenue it is. Now next one is average revenue 40, that is TR, total revenue for the 1 unit of production. 40 divided by 1 will give you 40. 80 divided by 2 will give you 40. 120 divided by 3 will give you 40. In this way we will calculate average revenue, and you can see average revenue and the value of price remains the same at all levels of production. Now we will calculate marginal revenue from the total revenue. First is same, second is 80 minus 40 will give you 40. Why the first figure is same in MR, AR and TR? Because at the first unit of production there is no additional production. So MR, AR and TR remains the same at first unit of production. Now next one is 120 minus 80 will give you 40. See, 120 minus 80 will give you 40. Next one is 160 minus 120 will give you 40. See here. Done. In the same way we will calculate marginal revenue. Now again you see that marginal revenue also 40-40 at all levels of production units. So price, average revenue and marginal revenue will coincide with each other in case of perfect competition, because there is no change in price. That's why there is no additional revenue from the additional units of production. Now let's see when we will mark these points on the x-axis and y-axis scale. At first unit of production price was rupees 40. 2 units of production price 40. 3 units of production price again 40. So price remains the same at all units of production. When we will join these points we will get a straight line parallel to the x-axis. So this is a horizontal line parallel to x-axis where average revenue, marginal revenue, price and demand will coincide with each other. So demand can change up to any extent under the perfect competition. Then and price remains the same. Any unit of quantity demanded by the consumer will pay the same price for each quantity. Then now next one is, this is about the perfect competition. Distinction between pure competition and perfect competition. In the pure competition there are large number of buyers and sellers, and in the perfect competition also large number of buyers and sellers. So first point same. Second is homogeneous product. Homogeneous product, second point is also same. Third is free entry and exit of the firms. Free entry and exit of the firms, both sides 3 points are remains the same. But under the perfect competition there are few more points we have considered, that consumer and producer both are having perfect knowledge about the market. Fifth point is perfect mobility. Factors of production and goods Both are having perfect mobility. No transport cost as homogeneous goods, and large number of producers are there, so we can purchase the commodity from anywhere with an ease. So now no transport cost, same price under the homogeneous, under the perfect competition. Now next one is monopoly. Monopoly, it is a Greek word. Mono means single, poly means seller. So monopoly. Under the monopoly market, there is one seller and number of buyers. Railway is the best example of monopoly. Netflix, Microsoft, Facebook, currency print by the RB, all are the examples of monopoly. Even Punjab State Electricity Board also example of monopoly. Netflix, as it covers more than 50% share of the market, that's why it is considered as a monopoly. Now next one is, a monopolist has a complete control over the price that it has to charge and the quantity it offers for sale. We will see how a monopolist can take advantage of its control over the price and how the optimal price and quantity differ from what would prevail in the competitive market. A monopolist's quantity will be lower and its price will be higher than the competitive quantity and price. This imposes a cost on the society because fewer consumers buy the product and those who do pay more for it. This is why legislation like the Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices (MRTP) Act restricts the firms from monopolizing. This law has since been replaced by the Competition Act 2002. Now next we will discuss about the monopoly. So monopoly is a market where single seller exists with no close substitute. Under monopoly, single seller having full control over the supply of the commodity, so that's why cross elasticity is zero. Cross elasticity means that no substitute good, that's why no change in demand. Like we have discussed in the substitute goods, that is change in the price of tea. Suppose the prices of tea it is higher and the demand of the consumer will shift from tea to coffee, because coffee he can purchase at a lesser rates. But in monopoly there is no such case, no close substitute available in the market, so that's why no scope of change in demand. So cross elasticity it is zero for such products. No firm can enter in the market. The existing firm is so big that able to meet the total demand in the market. So closed entry or barriers to the entry of the firms may be natural, legal or man-made restrictions such as patent rights, copyrights, government laws or economies of scale. Now next one is, under monopoly firm is a price maker. It can charge any price for its product. The firm has full control over the supply of his product because of no competition, no close substitute, barriers to the entry of new firms. Under monopoly, the firm can increase its price in two ways. First way is by lowering the price and increase the supply in the market, by lesser the supply and at higher prices. This is the second way the monopolist can increase its profit. So what is price discrimination? First of all, Indian Railway charges lower freight rates for the transaction of essential products from food products, coal, etc., in contrast to the transportation of the other products. Next one is, electricity charges are higher for the domestic use and less for the agricultural use. In the same way, a monopolist can increase its profit by charging different prices for the same commodities from different customers in different regions. Like the persons who are daily go from one place to another place due to jobs, they are also having pass in buses at a cheaper rates, and the other persons, those who are sitting without pass in buses, they pay more than the pass holders. So these are known as price discrimination. Next one is selling cost or advertisement cost. Under monopoly, the firm do not spend much on advertisement. It incurs very nominal selling cost in the beginning to give information to buyers about its product. Now we will discuss the shape of the demand curve for the electricity charges in Punjab. First of all, look at the table: price, quantity, average revenue, total revenue and marginal revenue. As the price decreases, quantity, units of quantity produced, it is increasing. Next one is average revenue, that is total revenue divided by quantity. Total revenue we have calculated here with the price multiplied by quantity, and marginal revenue we have calculated. Then you see price is same as the average revenue. Now when we will draw these points on the axis, for 1 unit of production price rupees 12, for second unit of production price rupees 10, for third unit of production price rupees 8, fourth unit of production price becomes 6. So in this way we will mark the points and join the line, we will get the average revenue curve or demand curve. This is your demand curve or the average revenue curve. Average revenue curve, it is per unit revenue. Done. Now next one is we will mark the marginal revenue points also. For 1 unit of production 12, for next additional unit 1 plus 1 2, second unit, that is marginal revenue it is 8, third unit marginal revenue it is of 4, fourth unit marginal revenue it is 0. So when we will join these points, we will get the marginal revenue curve. You can see marginal revenue curve negative also, because at 5th unit of production marginal revenue it is -4, and for 6 it is -8. So marginal revenue it is negative. Now here the question arises that average revenue curve it is above the marginal revenue curve. Why so? Average revenue curve is the revenue from the per unit production, and marginal revenue is the revenue from the additional unit of production. If the marginal revenue curve will touch the x-axis, it becomes 0. That means the producer is selling its product at 0 cost. He is selling his product free of cost. Done. So that's why average revenue can never be 0 or negative, because every producer wants some profit, exist in the market in order to earn the profit. So average revenue is per unit cost and is equals to the price of a commodity. Average revenue curve lies above the marginal revenue. Average revenue can never be 0 or touch the x-axis. If so, means producer selling the commodity free of cost. Marginal revenue is the income to the producer from additional unit of production and in order to sell more. Done. So this is the reason that marginal revenue, it is the revenue from the additional unit of production, and average revenue it is the per unit cost of production. So average revenue it is above the marginal revenue. Marginal revenue falls with a greater rate than the average revenue. You can see how we have calculated marginal revenue and total revenue and average revenue. So next one is, so monopoly demand curve is negatively sloped. Demand curve is its AR curve. As you know that demand and average revenue remains the same, and average revenue it is the per unit cost of production. Moreover, under monopoly, demand or the average revenue curve is less elastic. Less elastic means there is a little bit scope of the change in demand in the market due to higher prices set by the monopolist because of the absence of close substitute. If the person is needy, he will buy the product at a high prices, or in the rare cases he will deny for the product at a high prices, because the consumer is knowing that it is a product, no substitute it is available for this product in the market, and the monopolist have a complete control over the supply market and doesn't lose much sales with the increase in prices. So next one is, what are the causes behind the emergence of monopoly? First one is licensing. Sometimes government give license to only one company for producing a product, like VSNL, Videsh Sanchar Nigam Limited. VSNL means Videsh Sanchar Nigam Limited. Till 2002 was having monopoly for international telephone service. Mickey Mouse for design of popular character having license. Licensing involves obtaining permission from a company, that is a licensor, to manufacture and sell one or more of its product within a defined market area. The company that obtains these rights, that is means licensee, usually agrees to pay a royalty fee to the original owner. Goodwill fee. Royalty means whatever profit from the goodwill that have to give to the original owner. Licensed characters like Donald Duck, Coca-Cola licensing for brand protection, Tata Motors, Reliance India Limited, song sung by any singer, script of any writer, etc. are the licensed by the government. Next one is patent rights. What is the meaning of patent right? Means for new products or the technology, no other firm can copy the innovation of one company. It promotes encourage to new inventions and discoveries. Cadbury chocolate having patent right, and patent rights can be for the shape, design, size, even color also. Cadbury is having a blue color, that is having a patent right with Cadbury chocolates. Formation of a cartel. When group of firms join together and coordinate their output and pricing policies so as to act as a cartel in order to avoid the competition. All the firms set one price for his commodity so that no firm due to competition can get maximum loss or other firms get supernormal profits. In order to avoid all these conditions, they set one price and coordinate their output also and behave like a cartels, so to avoid the competition. You can take the examples of OPEC. OPEC means Organizations of Petroleum Exporting Countries, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. Cement industries, ACC, Ambuja Cements, all these are the examples of cartel. Natural monopoly. The best example is tap water, gas network, electricity grid, national fiber optic broadband network. Like in tap water, one company will provide the network of the water pipes and sewers. Because of higher capital cost, the machinery used in such projects, it is very much costlier. So natural monopoly occurs when only one firm is there, in which the economies of scale are so great, means benefits, internal benefits to the company, it is very high, that only single firm can satisfy the demand for a particular product. Like railways, Indian Railways, it's a natural monopoly. Water supply, that is also a natural monopoly. Electricity supply, that is also a natural monopoly. So when these kind of commodities are in one hand, in the long run there are benefits to the customers, because per unit cost of production it is lesser. Now next one is equilibrium with the monopoly. You know that marginal revenue and average revenue curves are negatively sloped under monopoly. When the marginal cost cuts the average marginal revenue, see the intersection point of marginal cost and marginal revenue, there is a equilibrium point exists for the firm. From this we will draw the line touches the average revenue, and you see average cost also touches the average revenue at this point. This means that there is no profit, no loss to the firm, because average revenue and average cost both remains the same. price is also same, cost is also same. Whatever cost it is incurred by the producer, the same amount in the form of revenue it is earned by the producer. So it is a situation of no profit, no loss when 2 units of production it is there with the firm. Next one is again marginal revenue curve. It is below the average revenue curve. Reasons you know why average revenue curve it is below the average revenue curve. Marginal revenue curve it is the revenue from the additional units of production, and average revenue curve it is the per unit cost of production, that is equals to price. That's why it is above the marginal revenue curve, and the price will not fall with a greater speed as the additional revenue with a greater speed. So here you can see again from the intersection of marginal revenue and marginal cost, equilibrium point exists here, and from this point we will touch the average revenue curve at this point, and we will draw a line like this one. And average cost, you see it crosses this line from here, and till this point you can see average cost is lower than the average revenue. See, this is average revenue curve and this is average cost curve. So this area shows the supernormal profits with the firm. Next one is in the third, when firms earn losses. Again marginal cost and marginal revenue curves intersect with each other at this point. This is a point of equilibrium. From this point we have drawn the perpendicular touches to the average revenue, and we have drawn the line like this at this point. Now next one is average cost. You see it is above the average revenue curve. Average cost it is above the average revenue curve, means average cost is greater than average revenue. So when cost is more than the income, it means the firm earns losses. So the area PQRS shows the losses to the firms. Now next, students, note down the homework. Define the following terms with examples: market, perfect competition, monopoly, normal profit, homogeneous product, cartels, patent rights, price discrimination. Next question is write the assumptions of perfect competition. Third question is explain monopoly market with its features. Also discuss the causes of emergence of monopoly. Students, please go through the links for more clarity. Thank you for listening.